Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're looking at the third and final time being folder space insert. This is for Aeon's End. This is for version 2. It does include Outcasts, and it's interesting they do mention Outcasts. They mention War Eternal. Which to be fair, I also picked up War Eternal. So when I do a how to setup plan review, it will include this insert being used. I also do have Outcasts, which I have previously shown the insert for, and that obviously is the standard insert as opposed to this. Speaking of which, let's look at the results of Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is the old beautiful insert for the game of Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is the Spiel German edition, and as great as the game is, it is tricky to sort out all the pieces. Interestingly, in the box layout, when they do set it up, I found it interesting that they actually seem to show that you put it by colour, not by denomination, which doesn't make sense because it's much easier to decide something by colour than denomination. Now, what's more of interest is the fact that obviously there is some spare space. If you have seen my prior video, you'll know it talks about Kraken and Leviathan, but that is for Abyss. That's just an older version of that sleeve. As you can see, you've got space here for the bags, and if you do have the expansions like Herb Witches and stuff like that, that can all go in here too, such as Alchemists as well. I have sleeved this. These are with Mayday sleeves, and they all do fit in here too. They were sleeved in something else. Again, being German, I have printed out in English and placed it on those bits, so you do need a sleeve for them, ideally. But they do fit in very nicely in this little tray there. As you can see, lots of spare space, hence why you've got the ones here, you have the twos here, the fours here, some more ones and some more ones here, hence the extra space. And that's why I'm just using these extra bits and bobs. Ultimately, being the fact that these are square and not in like cup cases, which you've mainly seen me do before in Instagram, the downside with that is, of course, being rounded. It doesn't, it's not as easy. You've also got all those baggies you've got to chuck out as well. Now, code names, I'll be doing a separate video for with sleeving, and you'll notice that that has a lot of baggies. Anything a lot of baggies normally means it probably needs a good insert. So I know I've just voted for that on folder space as well. So there we go, something that is form and function, something you might want to consider. And yes, if you're interested, of course, in checking out how the Aeon's End one looks, of course, do let me know and check out the how to set up plan review for that. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Now, a couple of negatives, small negatives, which I've picked up on. On Fields of Arle, you have your starting setup, but the wood tiles and the brick tiles, those kind of clay tiles, they don't have space typically in your player area where you have everything set up. Equally, in my baggies, I also set up based on what you're going to have each player. So each player is going to have their starting setup, and they're going to have one of these. That is not apparent here, which does take a little longer to set up because you do not have a baggie set up for each person. You do have this space, so you do have everything that they're going to need. So you're going to have their green, obviously, potion, green spider, the orange pumpkin, the starting stuff, but this will not fit in there, which is, of course, a shame, because if that was in there too, then you're ready to go. So that's the only tiny quibble. Maybe that's just because of space. You need to get everything else in here. It does fit in the promo expansion as well. So that's fine. But a minor quibble, you can maybe use one of these trays for somebody because you're always going to play at least, well, with yourself. It's your own copy. And therefore, whichever colour you like to be, that could go in there. So that's one way of handling it. But being a minimum 2-player game, you'll probably want to have that in another container. Equally, this could go here. So I may well choose to change this around. In fact, I probably will do. So it is manageable, and actually thankfully due to the space being a version 2 of it, that works. Maybe version 3 may change things again. As you can see, there's enough space to put everything in here. Well, that's all for now. I hope you find it of interest. Again, there are occasionally competitions. One's just ended. You can check through via Linktree though. Occasionally you can also go through to via the description where you can support the channel via Patreon. There's also Instagram, over 2,600 posts. TikTok as well now, and other things such as please follow on Facebook for more competitions too. Any other questions, comments, and YouTube are best, but for now, back to the table.